Either way,
Shut
I
up.
personally believe there's many members of Project Britannia who are members of other communities as well, who are active and do take a lot of roles within this group, even in this house as well. Now, personally, when it comes to dual citizenship, also, obviously, when this bill, if it does pass, hopefully not, it also links to the Citizen Regulation Bill, Mr. Clerk. This bill, obviously, if to get dual citizenship, you must have approval of the Home Office. And now, if the Home Office approves dual citizenship, surely that shouldn't disqualify them from holding a seat within the House. Thank you, Mr. Clerk.
Before I call the Prime Minister, may I ask what bill we're on, what reading we are on?
Second reading House of Commons disqualification bill.
Wonderful, thank you, Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. I understand some of the points he's saying. However, when it came to election a few months ago, we campaigned on a mandate to protect our state institutions. And part of those protections is to prevent individuals that may or may not, but there is a potential there for those individuals to manipulate the system from within on behalf of their own country. We cannot accurately predict every single threat to the country, so we always have to take a very careful stance with what's coming up. I also just want to refer the honourable gentleman opposite that when it came to a bill, I can't remember which bill it was, but a bill a short few days ago, we were criticised for not regulating. It was a foreign interference bill. We're not criticised for regulating members of Parliament. Well, this is exactly what we are doing right now, and this is exactly what I said we would do right now. I just want to also touch on the fact that the Citizenship Regulations Bill failed the House of Lords on account of the Conservative peer, the Earl of Wiltshire, quote, not wanting to have his citizenship removed. Well, I don't understand why he's so concerned if he doesn't apparently have a reason to have it removed. But that's an interesting point, is it not? But we will be sending that bill forward again. We are within the 21-day limit. As soon as when the bill was refused, we were in the 21-day limit for the the Parliament Act to take hold. So if they refuse it twice within 21 days, we can shove that through to royal assent, and it will protect our institutions by preventing terrorists from holding citizenship. Is XFGF an MP?
Yes, he's the new Shadow Defence Secretary.
Who is?
Yes,
he's not been
Norfolk.
He's now from Bencher. He's the backbencher.
Tell him just sit down. Motion to vote. Motion to vote. Seconded.
Oh, this question is the question to be put. Is that the motion to be heard as presented? As many as are that opinion say aye. To the contrary, no.
Do you not want to vote?
Division, clear the lobby.
Let's go. To the aye lobby, lads.
Yeah.
The ayes.
You have 15 seconds to get into your lobby.
This is Sky News. Thank you for joining us. This is just a quick apology message for the technical issues our team experienced while getting this live stream to your attention today. While the MPs are currently voting on a bill, we'd also like to reinforce the notice that referendum night results have been pushed back an hour due to the Commons business that is occurring. That means that referendum night will now begin an hour later at 9 PM. We appreciate your support.
The ayes to the right are 7, and the noes to the left are 4. So the ayes have it. The ayes have it. The question put that the bill be read a second time. As many ayes are of that opinion, say aye.
Aye. Okay, so Labour didn't know what they were voting on, basically. Aye.
I think the division clear the lobby.
You stupid.
Honestly, you didn't know what you were voting on, so you effectively delayed this Parliament session even more. Do you know how many bills we've got to read today? In fact, we might already be behind schedule.
We've also got Prime Minister's questions today.
Oh yeah, we are.
Why are you doing business of the House before PMQs? Return to the lobby.
Do you not know what the schedule looks like? I will not have interference from a clerk of this house who's only been serving for a week.
Why would you do business? Why would you do business of the House after questions? It's just confusing. That's all. Or it's just
Before
not confusing. It's unordinary.
Just get on with it, Joseph, man.
The ayes to the right, 7. The nays to the left, 4. So the ayes have House now comes to the third reading of the impartiality prediction amendments bill.
No. House of Commons disqualification amendments bill.
Oh, my bad. Same thing. Prime Minister.
Say aye. Motion. Oh God.
Leader the opposition. You can still make a motion.
Say no.
Motion to vote.
Seconded.
The question we put that the motion be heard as presented as many as are of their opinion. Say aye.
Aye. Don't know this because then you delay us even more.
To the contrary, no.
Aye.
The ayes clearly have it here.
They don't know what they're doing. This isn't the actual vote.
The question be put that the bill be read a third time as many as are of that opinion. Say aye.
Aye.
To the contrary, no.
The ayes clearly have it.
I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it.
Well, you don't clearly.
House now comes to the third reading and the Impartiality Protections Act
You're
amendments
knowing the
bill. Prime
motion to
Minister.
vote as well, idiots.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. The Impartiality Protections Act amends the Impartiality Protections Act passed a few weeks ago to remove the component of the act that forbids lords from sitting if they hold an office of state relating to the Crown or to something that would provide a risk for impartiality. Instead, the government will be proposing in the near future a bill to regulate conflict of interest across both chambers of the Great British Parliament, so that members of either house cannot vote on issues that would serve as a conflict of interest if they were to do so. Motion to vote.
Second.
Question is the question be put that the motion be heard as presented as many as are of that opinion. Say aye.
Aye.
To the contrary, no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. The question is that the bill be read a third time as many as are of that opinion.
From the opposition
Aye.
currently.
Aye.
To the contrary, no. I think the ayes have it. The
We're
ayes
just
have it.
not
The bill is read a
happy,
third
that's all.
time. Order.
Silence from the opposition.
What is this?
We're just not happy.
Order. House now comes to all questions to the Prime Minister. Question number 1 in the name of the Leader of the Opposition.
Oh, it's PMQs now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you mean question 1 for the backbenchers?
2 minutes.
Oh, someone...
Question number 1, Mr. Speaker.
No, you wouldn't.
Prime Minister.
Stupid man. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's glorious to return on the grand occasion that is Prime Minister's questions. This is my favourite event of the parliamentary week. Now, what I do find interesting is members opposite earlier were voting no on both the motion to vote as well as the actual vote on the bills themselves. When in actual fact they were just delaying by doing that, unnecessarily delaying. So clearly the people opposite don't know how this house works. But Mr. Speaker, Mr. Clark, sorry, the government is now beginning week 6 of week 8. It is exactly how it works, except you were unnecessarily delaying, so that was stupid. I withdraw the naughty word. Mr. Speaker, this Parliament is now on the 6th week of its initiation. This must be one of the longest parliamentary terms that Project Britannia has ever endured. And I do believe that this represents a great degree of stability from this government and, well, I would say the opposition. Is the PM brain rot? Are you daft?
Oh,
I withdraw daft.
No. You, Mr. Pizza, Mr. Member of Parliament for Ulster. Cut it out. We don't need any interjections from sedentary positions. Let the Prime Minister answer the question, and then we can move on. We are already behind schedule. I don't want to get further behind schedule, and unnecessary nonsense from the opposition isn't going to help. Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. Well, that was awfully dignified. But Mr. Clark, as I said, this represents the sixth week of the parliamentary term, and that represents a massive degree of stability. This is one of the longest parliamentary terms in Project Britannia history, and we are very proud as this government to be able to enforce that and keep it going. And we will be staying on this parliamentary term. There will be no early dissolution, and this parliamentary term will last until Saturday the 10th of August, where we will go through the official prorogation ceremony, the first time, or one of the first times that it's been sent through in Project Britannia, and this will be monumental for the group's activity, and I will speak to it. Mr. Clark, this morning I had meetings with ministerial colleagues and others, and I did it in my brand new and refreshed Downing Street that I'm slowly renovating. Now with a fire alarm. So that'll be good fun. I had meetings with ministerial colleagues and others in addition to my duties in this house. Tonight I will be on Sky News with the devolution referendum's result.
No questions. It's minister's question.
Leader of the opposition.
Obviously, first of all, Mr. Clerk, I want to congratulate the right honourable gentleman who just recently been appointed as the Chancellor of the Exchequer. But however, can the Prime Minister tell this House why he believes the right honourable man opposite to me is the right man for the job?
Prime Minister.
I'm assuming he refers to the Chancellor of the Exchequer.
He does.
The Chancellor of the Exchequer is one of the most steadfast individuals dedicated to complete public service. We've served in many governments together. He's worked under me in the Home Office before. And I certainly do trust him with a very strong degree. That's why I pushed for him to take office in my government and later my cabinet. And that is why he's here. He's going to prop up the Treasury. He's going to serve the British people well, and he's going to ensure that our economy is on track.
Leader of the opposition.
We obviously saw earlier today that the Prime Minister posted in regards of some judge appointments. Can we expect to see more in upcoming days?
Prime Minister.
Well, it's clear one of us knows the process. The process is simply as follows. I will convene 2 panels as I set out in my letter, comprising of members authorised by the constitutional reformer. Once we have a panel, I'll inform the Great British public, and once we have judicial appointments, I'll inform the Great British public, and we will get the judiciary back on track.
Leader of the opposition.
Obviously, the Foreign Secretary has been placed on leave with Charles. My apologies. The Right Honourable Temporary Foreign Secretary, which is I can't really name him, can I? But
He's Charles Bitchener.
Yeah,
Name.
Obviously, well, the Foreign Secretary isn't here today. Why has the Prime Minister picked him to replace him? Me head's battered.
Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. Sorry, I just noticed that the staff team are gone one again.
Oh God, what are they doing now?
Oh, I've forgotten what it was. Could you repeat the question, please?
Of course.
Leader of the opposition.
Obviously, the Foreign Secretary has been placed on minister leave, and with his replacement being Charles Kitchener, can the Prime Minister tell us why he's been selected to replace the Foreign Secretary while he's away?
Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. I won't forget the question this time. I thank him for repeating, and yes, that is typical. I've appointed my right honourable friend to the position of acting Foreign Secretary, as back when I was a lowly leader of the House, he was Foreign Secretary then. And I know fine well from experience within the Combat Kobe Ministries that he's got the perfect amount of experience and capability of carrying out the job at hand. So while the Foreign Secretary is having some issues because he got reported for saying that he was 6 from the Project Britannia Discord, because someone is that petty. While he deals with those issues and is unable to carry out the duties without his old Discord account, the Shadow Foreign, it's the Shadow Foreign, not the Shadow, sorry, the acting Foreign Secretary will be carrying out his work in his place. He's a steadfast individual. He knows exactly what he's doing, and therefore he's the absolute right man for the job. And I want to commend him as well. I wouldn't normally do this, but he's an all right cracking guy. Can you stop refreshing me? He's an all right cracking guy. At least while I'm speaking. He's just come back from his military service, and he's going to do a grand old job in the my tie. I'll take it. He's going to do a grand old job in the United States Army when he gets to that point. I want to congratulate him on passing his training. I wouldn't normally address real life events, but he's such a mucker.
Leader of the opposition.
Obviously, yesterday evening, the Secretary of State posted a statement regarding the peerage revocation list. Can the Prime Minister comment to this House about this and why he's doing this?
Prime Minister.
I would love to. It is about time that people actually started listening, and I don't mean the honourable gentleman opposite. He's not nagged us over this matter. However, it's about time people listen. So if there's many people watching the stream on Parliament Live TV, I'll tell you a fact. Either the individuals that we propose to Her Majesty, and I mean proposed for her decision, as it is her discretion by law, to revoke some peerages. The peerages have been suggested either because of inactivity or because those individuals have committed acts unbecoming of a peerage in recent months. It's pretty much a spring cleaning while getting rid of what's best described as some cancers.
Leader of the opposition.
I mean, this is going back to the House of Commons disqualification bill. However, can the Prime Minister comment if it's 2 minutes? I've lost my question. Can the Prime Minister comment regarding the House of Commons disqualification bill that and can you tell the House and understand why that many British citizens who do hold dual citizenship may be upset with this bill passing?
Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If someone had true dedication to the United Kingdom and was willing to serve in its legislative branch, and most likely its executive branch in the near future, as let's face it, that's what the majority of MPs go into ROBLOX politics for. If they were truly dedicated to the United Kingdom, they'd drop international citizenship and they'd take up British citizenship solely. This bill, the article in the bill has been put forward to ensure that there is a mitigation of risk. and by mitigation I mean completely excluded, of manipulation from within the Parliament from a foreign country. That would not be able to be responded to efficiently enough, given it happened, and it may not even be detected quick enough. Corruption lies rampant, and we're always dedicated to preventing that corruption. And I just want to say as well, I can't blame the leader of the opposition for losing track, because I reckon he's seen my refurbishments to Downing Street, and he's fawning by the mouth at how sexy the refurbishments are, and he's hoping to get amongst it on August 16th, and I really couldn't blame him, because I love the look of that Downing Street. And if he wins, I will be very disappointed that I cannot sit in that bloody house anymore.
MP for constituency.
Leader of the opposition.
Obviously, this is now going back to the Citizen Regulation Bill regarding dual citizenship. Obviously, the dual citizenship has to be approved by the Home Office, but obviously many people join this community for the political opportunity and political fun. Can the Prime Minister comment what will be up for grabs for the people who become dual citizens, and what opportunities will be there for them in the United Kingdom?
Prime Minister.
Dual citizens have not been restricted from much. The simple fact of the matter is, anything that could be manipulated from a dual citizen operating on behalf of another country that would deeply affect our country, we should always work to prevent, simply for security reasons. Now, I want to point out that Commonwealth nations have been excluded from that rule on account of their Commonwealth's close relations with the United Kingdom. However, very simply, anything that is not going to deeply affect the operations of the state, manipulate the arms of state, or anything that cannot be stopped immediately in its tracks without causing too much damage by a foreign agent who may be acting on behalf of a foreign country to disrupt the United Kingdom, those opportunities will always lay open.
Leader of the opposition.
So if I'm getting this right, the dual citizenship is being put in place because of for national security reasons, and maybe because of the recent attacks that took place in the last couple of weeks within London.
Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. Dual citizenship was one of our first plans as soon as we got into office. And it's just taken this long to get it in, which is fine because it is an 8-week term, and it was enacted on the 5th. There's a lot of work to do over time, I'm sure people can understand, hence why it was proposed on week 5. But yes, dual citizenship was one of restrictions on dual citizenship was a thought of idea well before this government was elected, and simply it provides the national security of keeping individuals who do hold citizenship in another country on a record, and furthermore ensures that any dual citizenships must be approved and can be stopped in their tracks if there is a problem with a different country that an individual has citizenship with.
Leader of the opposition.
That'll be my last question, Mr. Clark. But does the Prime Minister think if the dual citizenship system was implemented earlier, that these national security attacks may have not took place?
Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. No, because to my knowledge, the Nationals do not represent another country. They represent an organisation from within the United Kingdom, hence why it's called the Welsh Republican Army.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Motion to move.
Second.
Question is the question be put as many as or that opinion.
Oh, you don't need to do a vote. No one else asking questions.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's the country now.
Oh dear, it's me next.
I think the ayes have the questions. The House do now move.
Aye.
Dude, poetry. No. I think the ayes have the House now comes. Oh, questions to the Home Department.
Move. Thank you.
Okay, someone ask a question. Let's make this fast.
Leader of the Opposition.
Just this is just one of the main questions. But obviously the citizen regulation bill, the dual citizenship system will be has to be approved by the Home Office. What will the Home Secretary do to make sure it's a fair process?
Secretary of State.
I would like I thank you, Mr. Clark, and thank you. I thank the leader of the opposition. But I would also like to welcome the shadow Home Secretary to the House. I've not seen him in a while, and I hope he can have some input in today's session, so he can hopefully scrutinise me in a proper way instead of going on the politics channel to go and hide away. But obviously, yes, we are obviously looking into how we can make it a fair process. I've been speaking with the Home Office and the civil service, especially in the Home Office, to make sure it is a fair process, because it's important that we also have those checks and balances, especially after those attacks. We saw how abrupt and awful they were and the long-term damage they have had, and that we do have to take care in the work that we do. So we do want to see more people with dual citizenships, so they obviously have that freedom, because obviously that is very important. We are conservatives on this side of the house, and we want people to have personal freedoms, but we must not take any costs or risk when it comes to that. So during that, we are making sure that we do those background checks, we have those procedures in place, and I will continue working with the relevant agencies to ensure that we do that in the appropriate manner. Thank you.
Leader of the Opposition.
Well, having said this, if or when this bill passes, does the Home Secretary have a plan in place for how to request, obviously, this dual citizenship?
Secretary of State.
Can you repeat part of that question? Someone spoke during it and I did not hear it.
Leader of the Opposition.
Yeah, thank you.
Obviously, like I said, with the dual citizenship, it's got to be obviously approved by the Home Office. Has the Home Secretary got a system prepared in place for when citizens who want to have dual citizenship, how they should obviously request and go about it? Does the Home Secretary have a system and a plan in place for when it comes, if this bill is passed?
Secretary of State.
I thank you. Yes, we do. We will be using the Home Office server, and we will use a ticketing system, such as the process used in the Treasury to register businesses.
Okay, thanks.
Leader of the Opposition.
Obviously, the last time we were speaking, obviously the Home Secretary was stating all about that there was more training taking place and there was many student officers taking training, and we're seeing the numbers of the Met rising. Is that still the case?
Well, I do need to
Secretary of
update the
State.
House on this. Thank you, Mr. Clark. I do need to update the House. The Metropolitan Police purged inactive members to make sure we have that efficiency. So I think currently we have around 31 now, and they are all active and they are regularly going to trainings. And I was even invited to a training, but I could unfortunately not attend. But I'm planning to attend one in the coming days. But they are holding them, I think, every 2 days, from what I heard, to make sure that they obviously have that training in place, and to make sure that we have officers that are ready to be used, to make sure that we have our safer streets, because that is obviously vital for the Metropolitan Police Service, and I believe it is working, and I will remain in contact with the relevant forces and Gold Command members. Thank you.
Leader of the Opposition.
Does the Home Secretary, obviously, this is mainly obviously regarding the Met Command, but regarding the student officers, when are they normally being put on duty? Because I understand they normally just go through training first, but for how long they have been in the Metropolitan Police, when do they start taking active duty within London or within the United Kingdom?
Well, I
Secretary of State.
thank you. Thank you, Mr. Clark. I obviously thank him for his question again. Obviously, they can be deployed into service with someone obviously supervising them. But obviously, we do hope to get them trained. That's why they are hosting these full-on training sessions on a regular basis. So we can try and get them out of training and get them straight onto forces without needing that supervisor when they are deployed. Because obviously, we want to see efficiency, but we're not going to rush the process. We do not want to see them being rushed onto our streets. We want them to make sure they've got the proper training so they can handle situations such as terrorist attacks and high-level crime. So we are committed to ensuring that we continue with our public safety commitments.
Motion to move. Motion to move.
Second.
Right, House will move. House now comes to the consideration of amendments to the Public Indecency Bill.
Move. Thank you, Mr. Clark. Thank you, Mr. Clark.
we've ever had.
What? Me, Doc Henders, me speaking. You and not Doc Henders. You be quiet. Mr. Clark.
I disagree to that.
Oh, be quiet, I'm speaking.
Prime Minister.
Me, Doc Henders, me speaking. You not Doc Henders, you not speaking. Mr. Clark, the amendments put forward by the House of Lords were as follows: to repeal, I believe it was to repeal the entire act, bill, to repeal the entire contents of the bill, and then put in place a new section 1, saying stuff banned by ROBLOX terms of service is thingied, banned. The government disagrees with this stance from the House of Lords, as the rest of the bill contains lots of important regulations to ensure that public decency is maintained by every single citizen, both in ROBLOX and on Discord. So therefore, I encourage all members of the House to vote no on the consideration of amendments. We do not want those amendments. We will send it. I believe we will say we will reject those amendments. On behalf of the government, I encourage the opposition to do the same.
Here.
Motion to vote.
Second.
Question is, the question be put, that the motion be heard as presented as many as or of that opinion say aye.
Aye.
To the contrary, no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. The question is, the question be put that the amendment be agreed to as many as are of that opinion say aye.
No.
To the contrary,
No.
Division for the lobby.
Seriously.
Wait, who said I?
Your
Somebody
mother.
on the Treasury bench said aye, so.
It's Joe over.
I need a wee.
Right, obviously
Okay,
that's the majority.
Wait. Okay, back to the chamber.
God damn. Did someone vote aye? Oh, really? I'm not surprised it was Boykin Gamer.
Well,
The ayes to the right are 0. The noes to the left are 8. So the amendment is not agreed to. The noes have it.
Hey.
The noes have it.
Hey.
I guess I'll deport it back to the Lords, and the Lords will have to deal with this again. Anyways, we now come to the first reading of the Citizenship Regulations Bill. Prime Minister.
Second reading right now.
Second reading of the Citizenship Regulations Bill. Clerk, read the long title.
You are the clerk.
I know. I do many things for this house.
You are so not Rizzler.
Citizenship Regulation Bill. A bill to regulate the issuing and revocation of British, that's a fun word, revocation of British citizenship to relevant public authorities and for connected purposes. I will give 20 seconds of reading time.
Sigma.
Shut up, Prime Minister.
Sigma.
Ireland.
Sigma. Sigma.
Doc, have you seen
Sigma.
Frost
Sigma.
announcement?
Have I seen Frost's announcement? Yes, I think he needs to get a grip.
Have you not done this? Next
Well,
person
there's no-
alcoholic or the racial slurs is getting banned either from the server or the Parliament gift.
Oh,
I think he's, the leader of the opposition. I'm afraid that the group staff is just crying. Mr. Clark, the Citizenship Regulations Bill was rejected by the House of Lords, so the House of Commons will do what it normally does and pass it again and tell the Lords that this is what we have passed. And by the by the Parliament Act 2024 passed by the Combat Covey government, this bill will pass. And it will be sent straight to Royal Assent. We're within 21 days of it first coming to the House of Lords, given they reject it for a second time. After we pass it and send it back to the House of Lords with no amendments, completely intact, because this bill is important to maintaining our national security and regulating the citizenship powers of the Home Office. Motion to vote.
Second.
Everything's a win.
Question is the question be put, the motion be heard, is presented as many as are of that opinion. Say aye.
Aye.
To the contrary, no. I think the ayes have the ayes. And the question is the question be put that the bill be read a second time as many as are of that opinion. Say aye.
Aye.
To the contrary, no. I think the ayes have the ayes. But the bill is read a second time. House still comes to the third reading of the same. Yeah, third reading of the same. I thought there was a standing order against doing all three readings in one day, but I don't care. Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. Well, if there is, we haven't been informed about it by any previous clerks, so don't care. Oh, get a grip! Oscar Clark being a... Right, excuse me. Please, aye this bill. Please show the Lords who's boss, and that is the people. Oh my God. The Social Democrat motion to vote, they're actually taking the mic.
Second.
Racism isn't an inside joke, Prime Minister. Well, obviously is, isn't it? Because it's not racist.
Oh, the Prime Minister, I understand your frustration, but please let's save it. Let's save it for when we're outside of the chamber, please. Question is the question be put.
Mr. Clark,
Question is the question be put. That's Bill read. No, sorry. The question is the question be put that the motion be heard is presented as many as are of that opinion. Say aye.
Aye.
To the contrary, no. I think the ayes have the ayes. The question is that the bill being. The question is the question be put that the bill be read a third time as many as are of that opinion. Say aye.
Aye.
To the contrary, no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. The bill is read a third time and will be deported to the House of Lords. The House now comes to the first reading of the Communications Act Amendments Bill. Prime Minister.
You know what to do. That's his business. Can you check that bill I sent you a few days ago?
Yeah, I will. But you're leader of the House, so you still have to set the second reading.
God. Second reading right now. Goodbye, everyone. Bye.
Bye. What does the bill do?
Oh, the clerk read the long title.
Oh, I know what it does. Never mind, I'll do a little debate.
It gives you Skibbity Riz. Now I'm away because I need a win.
Okay.
A bill to amend the Communications Act to change the number and appointment process of BBC board officials. I will give 10 seconds of reading time.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Who actually reads the bill? Can someone say if they actually read it? No?
Okay. Who's leading this for the government? Is it the Secretary of State for Public Services and Media?
I'll just I normally read the bill before the session.
Secretary of State for Public Services and Media.
Do you want to speak or don't me to speak? Oh yeah, he does. Okay, yeah. Go on, speak.
Me? Lucky?
Also, Garfield, I don't know why your title's not working, but I put it on the prologue.
This bill aims to amend the BBC board to only have 3 board members and 1 chair. In addition, this bill amendment also requires that all appointments are made by the Queen and Council. This is in opposition to real life legislation where it is about 20 on the board. This aims to make the bill and BBC board more suitable for our community.
Here.
Before I call the Home Secretary, I must ask the Secretary of State to please either speak louder or put his microphone closer to his face. Secretary of State for the Home Department.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. I would like to obviously add on to what my right honourable friend said about this bill. It obviously will make the process more efficient. It will make sure that we can keep the BBC running, and because obviously we've seen it's been lacking in recent months. And obviously we want to see the BBC, the publicly owned news company, back up and running again. This will obviously make changes to the board. Currently, we have 20, and I'm sure we can all agree in this house that I don't think we're getting 20 independent people to sit on a board, given the current state of activity and affairs. So this bill will essentially cap the thing to 4, which I think is a lot more which is very reasonable given the state of activity on Project Britannia. That is our pledge. That is what this bill will do, and I hope we can get opposition support for a bill that will make sure we have fair media once again that is non-biased. I also understand we've got the rise of Sky, which is doing a brilliant job, but we also need that BBC that we all expect. Currently it is doing all right, but the amendments to the board will make sure that we can have it up and running once again. Thank you. I motion to
The motion to make
Question
Someone
is the
second.
question put. The motion be heard as presented. As many as are of that opinion say aye.
Aye.
To the contrary, no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have the question is the bill be read a second time. As many as are of that opinion say aye. To the contrary, no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. House now comes to the third reading of the same. Secretary of State for Media and Services. Or Public Services and Media. Same thing.
Don't need to stand up on your behalf. Should I just stand up for him? Yeah. Yeah, I'll stand up for him.
I'm Secretary.
And thank you, Mr. Clark. Obviously, as I stated in the second reading, this bill will make changes to the current board and changing it from 20 members to 4 members, ensuring that we haven't that layer of efficiency in the BBC, because obviously we need it to be running smoothly. And I'm sure we can all agree that it's important that we have a BBC that works. And I hope that we can get opposition support once again on this bill that will make positive changes in the media outlook for our country. Thank you.
Clark.
Leader of the opposition.
I must say that Labour will support this bill because it's about time this government does something on making BBC more active.
Secretary of State for the Home Department.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. I would like to thank the leader of the opposition on behalf of my right honourable friend, the Secretary of State for Public Services and Media, and the Prime Minister for expressing their support for this bill. And I agree with him. It is important that we take action to get the BBC back on track, so we can obviously have that layer of important media coverage from across the board. So I do thank him for his unwavering support on this bill. Thank you.
Motion to vote.
Second.
Question is the question we put that the motion be heard as presented. As many as are of that opinion say aye.
Aye.
To the contrary, no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. The question is the question we put that the bill be read a third time. As many as are of that opinion say aye.
Aye.
To the contrary, no.
I
think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. The bill is read a third time and will be deported to the House of Lords. House now.
Is that it, or is it motion to adjourn?
Please work.
Do we even have an adjournment debate?
There is no adjournment debate.
With what? There's a German
It's
debate.
just somebody motion to adjourn, unless you really want to do an adjournment
I
debate.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
The question is the question we put to the House to now adjourn as many as are of that opinion say. The question is the question we put in the motion we heard is presented as many as are of that opinion say aye.
Aye.
To the contrary, no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have the question is the question we put to the House to now adjourn as many as are of that opinion say aye.
Aye.
To the contrary, no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have the House now adjourn. Utte.
What?
That means get the fuck up.
No.
Is the
and leave.
session adjourned? You cut out.
Yeah.
It's all right. It's all right. We get to leave. Be thankful, Mr. Leader of the Opposition.
Well,
This is Sky News, Referendum Night Live from central London. So then, here we are. After days of counting, voting and opinions, the time is here for the results of the Scottish Devolution Referendum. Throughout the night, I'll be joined by a team of top politicians, analysts, to get their opinions and thoughts on the night as it unfolds. Alongside me tonight, I have the First Minister of Scotland, the Secretary of State for Housing and Communities, and joining me is James Hoyle, the Senior former Cabinet Minister. So as we turn to 9 o'clock, it is time to declare the results of the referendum live. So here we go, we've struck the time to declare results. Now this is not a general election where we declare an exit poll. This is a referendum where we have to wait for the results. However, counting is now concluded, so we can expect the first couple of results within the next few minutes. Let's turn to our political panel. Let's speak to the First Minister of Scotland first, the Honourable George Maxim, to get his views on how this referendum has unfolded. First Minister, how have you felt this campaign has gone for your cabinet?
I think this campaign has gone well for the cabinet. Thank you for having me too. I think the public has voted yes, that Scotland should join Project Britannia.
And do you think the British people have followed your advice and chosen?
Yes, I do believe they have followed my advice and chosen to have Scotland.
And also alongside the First Minister of Scotland State, we have, for the start of this programme, the Secretary of State for Housing and Communities. Mr. Secretary of State, how do you think this has gone for your government and how they've been promoting for this referendum?
Yes, thanks for having me. I think it's going to be very interesting for our government as we have been preparing this, as we've been talking with the Scottish Government as well. We've been preparing our various other Secretary of States in terms of plans for how we're looking towards working towards each other. So I think there's many challenges ahead. However, I'm looking for some great partnerships towards us.
So we have our team of top political experts. However, alongside me tonight, for the start of the evening, I also have a bit of veteran experience alongside me. We have one of our interim political correspondents, Mr. James Hoyle, who is a senior cabinet minister and who has served in several different governments in the past. Let's get his thoughts on how he feels what the night might have to unfold for us.
Thank you. I'm really looking forward to tonight's results. I think it'll be interesting. Both the Scottish and the Project Britannia government have some strong plans. I think if this referendum goes ahead and Scotland does join us, I think it will certainly be interesting. And I look forward to what the Scottish government has to offer. And I think if this referendum tonight does go ahead, I think we will be opening a jar of worms and we will be able to venture out and do a lot more than we already are.
Well, thank you very much for that. I should, before we go any further, apologise for some of the technical delays and problems we've been experiencing tonight. This is our very first type of election results broadcast, so we'll still get everything set up, but So everything should all be fixed within the next couple of minutes if there are still some issues. So we apologise for that. But the race for the first result is often also a very highly anticipated thing. We know that the two northern regions, the northeast and the northwest, are very competitive with this, and we expect one of them will be declaring the first few results imminently. However, there's also regions in the west and East Midlands who could be first to declare, and the Yorks and the Humbersides have been very, very desperate to get that first result tonight. So we are going to give it a moment for a result. However, I believe we actually might have a result already coming in. We do have a result already, the first result, and it is an unexpected result. It is not from any of the north, however it is from Yorkshire and Humber. We have the first result in, which we'll now display on our screen. And it is a very low voter turnout of 45%. However, the first result of the night is that the Yorkshire and Humberside region have voted yes to Scottish devolution. So that is the first result of the night, as we expect many more results to take place. I think we'll go back to the Scottish First Minister. Just have your brief thoughts on what you think of that first result and what might have to come following that.
As there may not have been a lot of turnout, I believe that this will be showing us what will be happening in the future. I believe that there's going to be a lot more turnout in the other provinces and regions, and a lot of them are going to be yes.
And do you think the low voter turnout in Yorkshire and Humberside is going to be a problem for concern across other regions?
Hopefully not. I believe that there may be a little bit lower of a turnout, but I believe that a lot of the people are going to go and vote because this is going to be a changing of the government and a lot of things. This is going to be a very important thing to vote on.
Mm-hmm. Let's head over to our political analyst, Mr. Hoyle, for his kind of thoughts and reaction to the first result and what might come from the next upcoming results.
Well, I mean, the first result's shown us that Yorkshire and the Humber want Scottish devolution. If this result is mirrored throughout the coverage tonight, it will certainly be a win for Scotland. The First Minister clearly happy with the result, hopeful for the upcoming results, and from this result now I'm sure we'll be eagerly waiting declarations from other areas of the country.
Well, thank you very much. Well, that first result could be the defining result of the night, and seeing how things go. But a very interesting place we should probably talk about is Northern Ireland. Northern Ireland formerly had the Irish Republican Army. We have heard from some Irish civilians in the last couple of days that they are worried about Scotland becoming a devolved nation, as what it might mean for independence of these nations. We know that the Irish Republican Army have previously struck terrorist attacks among several different London locations, including the Cenotaph and Downing Street. Do you have any worries about this, the Secretary of State for Housing and Communities, at all, for what this might cause if Scotland's do get into the devolution referendum wins, but for the Scottish people who are not so keen for this to happen, is there worries that there might be unrest unfolding?
So I wouldn't say there was too much worry towards. It's something the government's been planning towards for a long time. It's a very long time coming for the British people to have this link between Scotland and England as well. But what I can say is the Home Office has been preparing since our government was elected, since this term. the Home Office is dedicated to preventing these threats and dealing with counter-terrorism operations that have been ongoing previously in central London. We've also seen the recent deployment of the British Armed Forces also to combat this. So I think it's safe to say that these worries could be put at ease as these threats have been dealt with.
Okay, well, there is officially our first result on the screen. We've been working very hard to get the technical problems fixed, and we can reliably say most of them are now fixed. However, we have got our first result up on the screen, which is Yorkshire and Humberside with yes. So that is one of the 12 regions tonight who have voted in this referendum completed. We now have 11 more regions to go. I should probably have a word about how this referendum's results work. So people have been voting across the country over the last day. And what we've done with our partners with the Electoral Commission and our team at Sky have worked to put the results together into different regions. The votes have all been the same, but they've been just split across all 12 different regions of the United Kingdom and Northern Ireland. And what has occurred is we put results into regions, and that will get us our result, which is in line with the vote. And speaking of results, we also have another result coming in, I believe. We do. We now have, it is one of the northern regions, we have the North East, who have voted very significantly in yes for Scottish devolution. So that is our second result of the night, which is from the North East, who have voted in favour of that result. Now, does this mean that we might get other results like this? We don't know yet. I say, as a top tier political knowledge and former cabinet minister myself, give it 1 or 2 seats and we should be able to predict what other results might begin to come. And I think we'll head straight back actually to our Scottish First Minister. How do you feel about that second result? Is that starting to give you confidence?
I feel happy and proud of that second result. I've had confidence since the first result that it was going to be a yes. I feel like that the rest of the God bless Scotland is all I'm going to say for now.
And that's all you're saying. So does that mean you're prepared? You're taking caution still for a possible change in the votes?
I feel like it's obvious that there will be some no's in the future votes because not everybody is going to be up for a new change.
Well, thank you very much for that. Let's move back over to the Secretary of State for Housing and Communities, because I actually want to talk about a very well-known incident, particularly to the Scottish Government, which they commented on to me the other day and made a statement about. It's the Shadow Foreign Secretary stating that the Scottish devolution is not the best solution. I want to know what your thoughts are on that and what the government's thoughts are with that.
So, as we are a democratic nation, the government's thoughts are pretty much very clear. It's the will of the people at the end of the day. And if successful voting for this devolution, then it's what the people want. And the government is committed to delivering new plans, ensuring that plans are in place for this to happen, and that we can all get along nicely and get our policies and procedures in place ready for smooth runnings of each other's nations.
Yes, well, I should say we are going to be having the leader of the opposition on our political panel later on in the show. So that'll be something we'll be very keen to speak to him about, and how he feels for the first time publicly about what his Shadow Foreign Secretary has stated in the previous couple of days. We are also going to be later on having interviews with hopefully the leader of the Conservative Party, and the Prime Minister himself is going to be coming on speaking to us at about 9 o'clock. So we're getting another result in already. I think this is the start of the times where we're going to get a lot of results coming in over the next 20 minutes. And we do have a result, and I just realised we've just not got rid of the last result, so apologies for that. However, it is further down. It's actually the West Midlands who have again voted in favour. We'll quickly get rid of the declared seats so far just to show you the turnout in the West Midlands. It's another yes in the West Midlands. A bit less than the North East, but still a big majority in the West Midlands who have voted for Scottish devolution. And the voter turnout of being at 61%, that could be promising for other seats, but we don't know. However, I will go back to our political analyst. What do you make so far of the voter turnout, and what might be expected in the next couple of results? What do you think the voter turnout might be like for there?
It's difficult when we talk about voter turnout because, as you mentioned at the start, this is not a general election. However, it is still an important vote. And the results we've seen, not as many votes. However, the results are still going in favour of the government. I think the turnout isn't as important as the results. You could have a very low turnout, but actually those who have gone out and voted have voted in favour, and I think that's what we should take out of this election. Just a little thing to say about the content of the votes we've seen declared so far. It's going in favour of the Scottish Government. If that result is repeated throughout the night,
It certainly is, and actually I'm going to quickly interrupt you because we have another result coming in. As I said earlier, we're going to start getting lots of results. However, we've got another result in, this time from the southwest of England, and this is the result. And again, a pretty favourable vote in favour of yes for Scottish devolution. I'll come back to you now, James. What does that latest result add onto your comments that you were just making?
Well, it if anything, it validates what I'm saying. People do want Scottish devolution, and tonight will be the decider. But I'm looking forward to more areas of the country declaring. But from what we've seen so far, it's certainly looking promising.
It's looking promising indeed for the Scottish Government side of things. And this surely must be promising for this man right next to us here. I want to ask, on behalf of some of the British people, First Minister, what are your plans for if this devolution referendum is successful for your side? What do you plan to do?
I plan on working with the Project Britannia government on devising a good plan. I think our first thing will be to set up some sort of relation regarding to employment. Getting employment up in both countries is always a good thing. And then, yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. So far, I should say, we've not seen any spoilt ballots yet. And this is a new feature that has come into Project Britannia's voting system for this election. I want to go back to our political analyst. How many spoilt ballots do you reckon there could be with the introduction of them?
I think by adding the option to spoil your ballot, it gives people, well, of course, it gives people a third option in this vote. People may not have seen the coverage from the political parties, and therefore they are not too sure how they want to vote, and that's why campaigning is important. I predict that maybe in some of the areas such as Northern Ireland, there may be a couple of spoilt ballots. I think we may be surprised actually with the amount of votes that are spoilt rather than put in, and we may see that if voters decided not to spoil and voted in a different way, the result would be different. So that is something I am actually a bit skeptical about, but it will be interesting.
It will be interesting to see, and we do have a very interesting result in. This time it is again in the south from the southeast, which will now show you. Very interestingly though, our first official sport ballot of the night coming in from the southeast. And this result may present some confusion, so I will explain it. The southeast has voted in favour of Scottish devolution, because sport ballots do not count as an official vote. They just get become a discarded vote. So, and because there is not a significant number of people in the southeast who have voted no, it does mean that the southeast have voted in favour of devolution. So, as our political analyst was just saying there, it's definitely getting interesting with sport ballots, and we've just had our first one in. Could there be more coming? We just don't know yet, and we'll have to wait and see. And we're getting another result in very quickly, because the results are being fired into us here at Sky News, so we can't determine when each single result comes in. It's again from the east. This time it is coming from the East Midlands. And for the very first time tonight, it's our very first no. The East Midlands have not voted in favour of Scottish devolution. It seems, from according to this, with again a low voter turnout of 57%, the people of the East Midlands have not voted in favour of Scottish devolution. So that is some very interesting news in. I'm going to go straight to the Scottish First Minister to get his thoughts on that. The first no result of the night. What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts on the first no. I mean, it's kind of obvious that there are obviously going to be some no's from some region. If everything was yes, there's going to be some conspiracy theories that it was just rigged. So, I mean, it is normal. It's in the norm that there are obviously going to be some no's. But if you look at the past, there's already a lot more yeses than there are no's, and I believe that trend is going to keep going.
You believe that trend is going to keep going? If I can get your thoughts, because we're going to be saying goodbye to our political panel very shortly, as we're going to be joined by a new range of political analysts. But I just want to get, firstly, your views. How many more seats do you think might say no in this? How many more regions, might say no in this devolution?
I believe that we will probably get like 1 or 2 more. But the majority is going to be yes. I'm confident that the majority will be yes, no matter how many people vote no. The majority will be yes.
My bad for interrupting there, but that is appreciated. And finally, from the Secretary of Safe Housing and Communities, Moan Jones-Scope, can we get your thoughts about what you think might happen in this election, but also what is the Prime Minister intending to do if the result goes in his favour tonight?
So, I think it's going to be an interesting result tonight. It could either be very close or there could be a clear majority, but we're yet to see. But what I can say is the Prime Minister is very much looking forward to having everyone agreeing and going with yes, because we have great plans in place for the Prime Minister, which he's hoping to implement towards the people of this country.
Well, I should say thank you very much to both Secretary of Safe Housing Communities, but also the First Minister of Scotland for coming on our programme tonight. I understand you obviously have several important duties to attend to, so we are going to allow you to leave now, but we appreciate your time deeply. However, we are going to have a brand new set of political panellists in a moment, but let's just take us over. Let's go to Downing, the live status of Downing Street, and it seems like, obviously, according to our team, that is not Downing Street for whatever reason. I apologise if you don't understand why this is happening. We're going to just quickly do a quick bug fix of our studio technology. This is the fun thing about technology. You never know if it's going to go right or wrong. So we're going to go to Brute House, I'm told. There we go. We're live at Brute House at the moment. So as the evening and votes begin to settle, we will just take a moment to browse and look at Brute House in Scotland, the home and office of the Scottish Government.
Can I just jump in there, just whilst we have a moment?
Of
The
course.
first area declaring no tonight, obviously it is significant. However, I don't think the two governments will be too worried about what we're saying. It may be an indicator that there'll be certain parts of the country who don't support, and obviously in politics you're going to get that. However, I have no doubts that this referendum will fail. No, sorry, I have no doubts that this referendum will be won, and I believe that it will be the beginning of something great. I know we have our new group of politicians joining soon, and I think it will be nice to get a fresh say on this.
Indeed it will be. And as we just browse Brute House, I'm just wondering to you, if this referendum, even though it's not looking like at the moment, somehow manages to fail, what might happen? What do you think the Prime Minister might do if this referendum fails?
If the results were to come in and the referendum was to fail, I think both governments would be disappointed. However, I don't think the Prime Minister would be in a position where he would resign. I think that the government this hasn't been the highlight of the government's tenure. There's been a variety of different issues. However, in the general elections coming up soon, and this may have an impact, it's certainly interesting, but the eventuality of that happening is very low. I'm sure the Prime Minister is in Downing Street at the moment, watching our coverage, thinking that he is in safe hands. However, in the art of politics, we never know what's happening, so
Indeed we do, and we're now coming back to the studio, and we're welcome to introduce our new panel of politicians. We have the Deputy First Minister of Scotland, the Honourable Adam Ratty, and we also have the Leader of the Opposition, who is also the Leader of the Labour Party, the Right Honourable Organised Owen. So welcome to both of you to the panel. We're pleased to have you and thankful to have you both on tonight. Let's just get your thoughts then, both your thoughts on the night so far. Let's start with you, Deputy First Minister of Scotland.
Firstly, can I thank Sky News for having me on tonight. The results so far are positive. They are leading in the direction the Scottish Government want, and the PB government wants to start relationships. We want to get this passed in order to start negotiations on a devolution deal, which will be strong and hopefully set a foundation for future governments to work upon and build a better relationship between the two groups.
Okay, and we are going to move to the Leader of the Opposition very shortly, but we are getting another result in from the north of England in the northwest, and it's a very interesting result because I'll move the card away for a second, but look at that. The largest vote share of people in favour of Scottish devolution so far of the night, and this could possibly be the highest vote to support in England in the northwest, with a very large majority of a combined total of 4 votes in favour of Scottish devolution, but no votes for people being against Scottish devolution or sport ballots within the northwest. Let's turn to the Leader of the Opposition, Organised Owen, for his take not only on that result, but the take on the night so far. Okay, we apologise for that. We are going to go to Leader of the Opposition very shortly. It just seems that he is experiencing some technical issues at this time, so we will go back to him in a second. But I guess we'll go to our political analyst, James Hoyle. What do you make of that result then so far?
The result that we've just seen declared from the Northwest shows us that there is support. If the other results didn't embed that, this one certainly does.
Okay, I'm
think
sorry, I am
it
just going
will-
to
it will
interrupt you
be
because I
though.
think we are actually starting to get some signal back within the Leader of the Opposition. We're just giving it a quick test go on the quick broadcasting system. If not, we will go straight back to you.
Hello.
Hello,
Can you hear
it's
me now?
we've got Leader of the Opposition on the line. Welcome back. So we
Thank
apologise
you.
for that. Let's get your thoughts then on this, and then we'll come back to our political analyst.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. Personally, I think the results going great so far. The British people are speaking, and personally, I am all in favour of this Scottish referendum, and I personally believe it's going in the way of them, of course.
I want to get your thoughts very quickly, and I'm sure as loads of other people in Britain do, about your shadow foreign secretary, because he's been very public with his comments, aside from your party's views about Scotland being devolved, and the fact that he has voted against this, according to several sources of his own. So, can we just get your thoughts on that and how you feel as a party leader about it?
Well, obviously, yes, he did go against obviously party policy, but I told all my members to vote as not as a politician but as a British citizen, because after all, it will affect them as well. So that was my main message as obviously a leader. Obviously, I'm all for this Scottish referendum, but however, I don't believe all party members' opinions relate to obviously to the Labour Party. Like, everyone's got an opinion, but obviously the Shadow Foreign Secretary, if he doesn't believe this is the right for PB, then obviously he spoke his mind. But like I said, I wanted to make sure that all my members and obviously shadow cabinet ministers voted as a British citizen and not a politician. Overall.
Well, thank you very much for that. I'm sure the British people are pleased to hear those comments for the first time tonight. I'm sure we'll be coming to you many more times throughout the remainder of the evening to discuss events. Let's go back now to our political correspondent. Our political correspondent, James Hoyles, as I casually just choke on air. Mr. Hoyle, carry on with what you were saying earlier.
I just want to really finish and say that the result from the Northwest, it has been illustrated so far, apart from the area which I've forgotten. But in England, there'll be a support for it. In Scotland, there will obviously be support. I'm interested to see what Northern Ireland has to say. There's been a lot of conversation about Northern Ireland in the last week or so and before. I think that will be an interesting result, and I'm sure the team at Sky will be looking out for it as soon as it's declared.
Okay, well, we will carry on now back to results, because we have had not one but two results in since actually we've last spoken. So we'll move on to our first result, as I've now recovered from virtually choking on oxygen. So we'll just get the result up. Our first result is from the east of England, who have not again voted in favour of this. Another region in the east have not voted in favour of this, and it's just by the narrow margin. You can't see it, however, with a very low voter turnout. Once again, we'll show you the voter turnout now. With a voter turnout of 49%, the lowest voting turnout so far in this election. But then, of course, we have a second result being in the Northwest, who surprisingly haven't been the first to declare, because they were normally in the race quite early. But we've gone from one of the lowest voting turnouts to one of the highest voting turnouts so far in this election. Of them being with a turnout of 73% in the northwest, and it being heavily in favour of Scottish devolution. So those two results just coming to us within the last couple of minutes, with being the northwest voted in favour of Scottish devolution, and the east of England, not in favour of this devolution referendum. So let's go back to our political panels. Let's go to the Leader of the Opposition. What are your takes on those two most recent results?
Well, personally, I think, like you said, I was quite surprised that the Northwest was not one of the first ones to declare either. But honestly, I think the results are going well. Like I keep saying, and I believe obviously the Scottish Deputy First Minister will agree with me. The results are going in favour. However, we haven't seen. Obviously, we've only seen a couple of spoiled votes and spoiled ballots. Sorry, and not many no's, if not any. But yeah, I believe these results are going very well so far, and I hope they continue, because I believe if a Scottish referendum does happen, this is big not only for Project Britannia, but obviously for Scotland as well, and this will create so much opportunity as a whole.
Well, we have indeed, and we've gotten through so far 8 results, so there is only 4 regions left to declare. That being London, the last region in England to declare, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland, which was pretty much expected out of the last couple of regions to declare. So far we've had 8 regions in favour of this. I think, or was it 6? No, we've had 6 regions in favour of this, and we've had 2 that are not in favour of Scottish devolution. So let's go to actually the Deputy First Minister of Scotland, Mr. Adam Ratty. What do you think of these results so far?
I mean, certainly it has been a bit of whirlwind, the last 2 results, but I think certainly what we have seen is that the east of England and the East Midlands clearly have some concerns about this to why they voted no. So I think both the Scottish government and the PB government have some work to do to figure out.
I'm sorry, I'm just going to interrupt you for a second. We're getting a big result in. We're getting the result of Scotland, which is actually the Scottish homeland, which is what this referendum is all about. So the Scottish people have voted in favour of this referendum result, with a total of 9 votes being in favour, 2 votes not being in favour, and 1 spoilt ballot. So we'll go back now to the Deputy First Minister of Scotland. Your take on that most recent result?
Wow. I think the Scottish people, for us, have faith in the government to be a union with the rest of the UK, to reaffirm partnerships. Because what we've seen from the east of England and East Midlands shows that clearly there are some issues that need to be ironed out in this devolution, and we need to gain the trust of them, because all business in England are going to be affected, because it means they can trade with Scotland, we can trade with them. It's going to build their investment levels up, and that's what we want. We want to grow Scotland to the point where it's sustainable. We don't want to rely on some other entities abroad. We want to be a union and find issues together.
Thank you very much, Deputy First Minister of Scotland. I believe, I'm just doing some double checking with my calculations, that this latest result does mean something very significant for the referendum. We are just currently checking that out with our sources, but while we do, let's go to our political analyst for actually, I believe, what might be one of the last times this evening before he has to head off to some duties. But let's get your thoughts on the night while we double check this.
I think. Sorry. I think the result from Scotland shows we have a lot of support from the people of Scotland. Many people would argue that it is important that Scotland supports it, and I would agree with them. The turnout, I think 11. I'm not too sure the percentages, but 11 people took part in the vote from Scotland. You know, that's over half of them on devolution, and that is fantastic. I think the Scottish Government will be pleased with that, and they will be able to use that in their message if this referendum does go in their favour. And you know, we're coming to some important declarations now. Northern Ireland will be interesting, Wales will be interesting, and of course London will be interesting. So we've gone through the declarations that people may
Indeed.
not have been too concerned about, but now it's time, and I'm looking forward to them all.
Well, thank you very much for that. We was actually due to be joined by the Conservative Party leader for an interview on this. However, unfortunately, he has not turned up. Sky News can only apologise for this, but this is out of our hands. We will do an investigation into this following the broadcast, into why they have not attended a pre-scheduled interview regarding this. But I can report officially that following the result in Scotland, that this referendum has been decided. After ages and ages of counting and voting, we can now officially report that this referendum has been won by the Yes campaign. There is not enough votes now for the No campaign to even come near beating the Yes campaign. So this means that this referendum has been won by Yes. However, we do encourage all viewers to stay on Sky News. However, as we've got the Prime Minister himself coming on within the next few minutes. However, so just to say, repeat on that news, that this referendum has been won by the Yes campaign. There is no way that the No campaign can catch up, even if they get No on the remaining, if the people vote No on all the remaining regions. And speaking of regions, we actually have another result to report. This time we have the result in London. A very interesting result in London, but however, London has voted again in favour of Scottish devolution, so that just clarifies the point even more that this referendum has been won by the Yes campaign. So this means that Scotland will officially become a devolved nation within the United Kingdom, and we will be sure to ask the Prime Minister all about this in the upcoming interview, which we have scheduled for a couple of minutes' time. So let's go to the Deputy First Minister of Scotland. What are your official thoughts on that? Of the fact that your campaign, jointly with the government, has won.
So it's great news for Scotland. It's great news for Project Britannia. It's citizens, residents, and anyone else that wishes to join us, foreign nationals who support this as well. Because what we want is to build partnerships. If we don't build partnerships, no group is going to grow. Let's be honest. We want to grow groups. We want to do it in joint effort, and it means that we can get around the table with the Project Britannia government as quickly as possible before the next general election that Project Britannia faces, to get through Parliament before the next session. Because if we agree with the current government, it means that it's set in stone and that we don't have to deal with the new government who may have a change of plans on what they see as a devolution deal. And I quite frankly agree with the Labour leader that it's been a tough race. It really has. And the Yes campaign has won it fairly, but the No's have clearly shown what they think of it, and we need to work to resolve that very quickly.
Indeed, and actually, since we have the leader of the opposition right next to us, what are your thoughts on those most recent comments and your response to that?
Well, personally, I do apologise. Obviously, I've been dealing with other things whilst you've also had your conversation, so I do apologise by that. Well, as you were saying, obviously, with the referendum, obviously, first of all, congratulations to the Deputy First Minister and obviously to your country. I believe this is a massive, massive thing that's both great for our for both communities. But like you said, with in regards to the general election, obviously, if I'm calculating right, it's only in a couple of weeks' time. So personally, I believe that obviously, if this was a Labour government, I would be having talks with the Scottish government straight away on how we can move, obviously, our friendship forward and how we can both benefit from this mutual friendship. Because I personally believe this referendum will benefit both parties, as will the Prime Minister as well, as we both have similar views on this referendum.
Well, thank you much. And while we were talking to you, we had another result pop up for us. It was the result in Wales, who become the second nation within the United Kingdom to have voted in favour of this. Actually, no, the third, because England have technically, it would still be the second. So Wales and Scotland are the two nations so far that have voted in favour of this, and that is now 11 out of 12 regions declared. The final region to declare, as expected, is Northern Ireland, which we expect to arrive within the coming minutes. So we're just sorting something out in the studio. However, this result then in Wales. Let's just go back to our political analyst who's still with us here in the studio, James Hoyle. What does this result then, what do you feel about this result?
Well, it's clear now. The Yes campaign's won. I'm looking forward to the Northern Ireland result. That will be the icing on the cake. And I'm sure as you interview the Prime Minister in a couple of minutes or so, he will reiterate what I'm going to say. It is a fantastic result for his government. It's a fantastic result from Scotland, and I am looking forward to what this result has to come with it.
Well, as we were talking about interviews with the Prime Minister, we are able, I believe, to go live across our studio over to, I believe, the Prime Minister, and unfortunately, no, we're not, because we are experiencing more technical problems, which I don't know actually why they're occurring. We're just going to see if we can get it fixed real quick. There we go. We seem to have a black screen on one of these, so just give us a quick moment to sort this out. We are currently just working. We are just currently working on getting this all sorted. However, if not, then we will just go over. This is what you have to love about technology sometimes. It all works in the practice broadcasts we do, but then in the main broadcast, it decides to have its funny moments. So we won't do it by interview cam, just allow us a quick moment. We'll go back to, while we sort out the interview, we'll just quickly go to Brute House in Scotland, just to get a picture from the scenes there while we just wait to get everything all set up. So apologies for that, but however, we are now mostly set up here in the studio, and we can now, I believe, go to the Prime Minister. So then, Prime Minister, welcome and thank you for taking your time with us. Let's get your thoughts then on the. Let's get your thoughts then on the night, and how do you think it's gone for your campaign that you've jointly ran with the Scottish?
Well, It's gone very well, hasn't it? That is
Indeed
an
it has.
outstanding result there. I'm personally very glad with the result. The government is. I've just come from Downing Street. We've got a good number of Metropolitan Police officers stood out there. We've got a good number of cabinet ministers in there. We've sat and watched the results from Downing Street in the cabinet room and from number 12, and we're very happy with the result. We really are, because this signifies the future, and this signifies that the British people want the future to go forward. There will be a bright future working with Scotland. I intend to meet with the Scottish First Minister and Deputy First Minister tonight after I deliver a statement outside of Downing Street later on. I will congratulate them, as it is their victory. But while it is also their victory, it's a victory for the whole United Kingdom. This community can now go forward. We can go forward alongside another community. They're a trusted community led by a staff member of our community. So we can go forward together, and the government is going to immediately and swiftly act on the referendum result. We've got just less than 3 weeks left until Parliament dissolves, and we're going to act decisively and without hesitation.
Well, while we have this conversation, I believe we are just getting our final result of the evening in from Northern Ireland, which we will now broadcast to your attention. We did have some feelings about Northern Ireland, and it is very interesting. We'll read the numbers out. A total of 2 votes in Northern Ireland have been put in favour of Scottish devolution. 5 people are against. A total of 5 votes, are against devolution in north of Scotland, and we have a total of 3 spoilt ballots in Northern Ireland, which is the highest number so far. So I think that clearly presents something of how the Northern Ireland people feel. Let's go and get your reaction to that latest result before I hand over to my political analyst just to answer a couple of questions of his own.
Yeah, by all means. Yes, I can understand why the people of Northern Ireland wouldn't necessarily be too happy. However, the Scotland in question approached our government. They approached our government, and with a fairly active Scotland, with buildings development, that kind of thing, it was a no-brainer, really. We put it to the British people, and the British people overall have voted in favour. This doesn't necessarily mean that that Wales and Northern Ireland are going to be left out, because they aren't. If we can find groups, or if groups come to us of the same nature and same circumstances, Blackheath, Cromwell, Scotland, then we'd be more than happy to. We'd be more than happy to take measures as necessary from there. It's just a case of holding out those people in Northern Ireland. I've got to apologise if you feel dismayed by our decision to launch this referendum. However, I want to reassure every single individual in both Northern Ireland and Wales that this government has not and will not forget them. That is why we crushed the Welsh Republican Army, which represented the Welsh people, not in the slightest. That is why we crushed those terrorists from causing problems, and we were committed to crushing Northern Ireland terrorists. And we are extremely committed to all 4 nations within our United Kingdom, and I really think that our decision to launch this referendum represents that in its entirety.
I'm going to hand over now to our political analyst, James Hoyle, who has some questions of his own that he is keen to ask you before we will let you go off and handle your very busy schedule, because we understand there might be a statement coming from Downing Street.
Thank you. Good evening, Prime Minister. I'm sure you're absolutely thrilled with the result that we have had in tonight. A question to you is, during this campaign, did you feel any real opposition?
If you want my honest answer, no. I mean, we requested the Ipsos Mori poll a week ago to dip our feet into the water, and as it turns out, the water was very warm, very comfortable, very clean. So we dipped our entire leg in it, and now we've got a positive referendum result with no real opposition. I mean, I noticed Little Dragon, of all people, a very famous citizen, as we all know, he voted no. Well, you know why he voted no, and that's just to cause trouble. And if that's the kind of people that don't necessarily reflect everyone voting no, but if that's the kind of people that have turned out to vote no, then we all know what the British people overall in their entirety think about this course of action. So no real opposition whatsoever.
The Prime Minister. Obviously, this is a new chapter for Project Britannia. It's going to be fantastic. But going into your discussions with the First Minister and Deputy First Minister, what do you want to do straight away to consolidate and make the most of the result that we've had declared to us all tonight?
I want the legislation in Parliament on Thursday. That's what I want to see. That's what I want to do. We're going to invite the First Minister and Deputy First Minister as soon as we get back to Downing Street and as soon as I've delivered my statement outside of the big black door. And we're going to discuss it in detail, what Scotland wants as a representation. I mean, we already have discussed it. We discussed it on the night they proposed it to us, and I said, okay, let's have a referendum. We've had the discussions before. We have a pretty good idea of what we're going into. And in all honesty, I think we can aim for that legislation to be put forward to the House of Commons on Thursday afternoon.
Thank you, Prime Minister, and I'm sure the public will be eagerly waiting your statement outside Downing Street this evening.
I hope so.
Well, thank you very much to the Prime Minister. We are going to let you go now because you are obviously on a very busy schedule, we know, so we appreciate you coming down, and if there is any statement coming from Downing Street, we will bring this straight to our viewers' attention.
Right, thank you very much. Good night.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister. And we're also going to say goodbye to our political analyst, who also has to attend some other things. So we thank both of them, but particularly our political analyst for his extraordinary efforts tonight, which was called on very lately before this broadcast is due to start. So thank you very much. So we're going to go to our... So we're now going to go to our political panelist again, and let's get the views of the leader of the opposition about what the Prime Minister has just had to say regarding this referendum.
Well, he's absolutely right. Sometimes I don't normally agree with the Prime Minister, but he's certainly right with them words there. Obviously, like I said, this is an absolute massive win, not only for obviously the Scottish Government, but obviously for Project Britannia as well. I obviously hope that the talks go well. Obviously, I understand you've seen he's going to meet with the Scottish Government later today in regards of obviously what's happening. But obviously, like I said, this is massive for for Project Britannia as a whole, as well as Scotland, and I believe the Deputy First Minister can agree with me on this. But yeah, obviously the next step is obviously going through Parliament, and yeah, let's just hope it all works out.
Indeed. Let's go to Deputy. We are going to go to Deputy First Minister Scotland, but we would just like to say apologies for any inconveniency technical issues that might about to occur. We are currently just doing a test broadcast of something else to see if it works, but we will go to the Deputy First Minister. Let's get your thoughts once again on just how you feel your campaign has gone and what are your plans for the Scottish Government to do over the next 24 hours.
So firstly, I want to put a remark on the Prime Minister's interview with Listeners. So I agree with him that legislation does need to get in Parliament as quickly as possible. He mentions Thursday, but if we feel we need another day because we want to refine a few things, I think the leader of the opposition will agree. We want to get it right first time. And if that means postponing it by a day to Friday, we will. But we want the best of Scotland. If we don't get the best of Scotland first time, then we don't know what will happen. It could go horribly wrong. And we want to get it right first time, which means that we can, as the Prime Minister put it in pre-talks, get the monarch as our head of state in Scotland, because that's what we want. We want royalty, we want engagement, and we want others to see that we are growing. And then on the campaign trail, we tried hard. We put out to why we want the British public to vote yes. It will help our Scottish Growth Initiative grow further than ever that we want it to, because it means we can work with the Treasury and company housing to see if businesses registered within the project area want to expand to Scotland, because that's what we want. We want both communities to be active, have a good roleplay base, and ensure that we can work together to build a better nation for all.
Well, thank you very much to the Deputy First Minister, and as our viewers might have been able to see, in the last couple of moments we have been just testing out our broadcast capabilities to see how we have, because we have been told in the last couple of moments there is going to be a statement outside number 10 Downing Street from the Prime Minister imminently, we're told. Now, we don't know how long this could be, but we believe it will be sometime in the next 10 minutes to be precise. But obviously, we're not going to know until obviously he walks out of the door. But I am going to go, I suppose, straight to our political... I was about to say political analyst, but he's gone. So we're going to go back to myself and let's just take a look at some of the results so far. So Northern Ireland obviously being a very big result for the campaign of no, being the biggest area that's in favour of no. I actually want to go back to the Deputy First Minister of Scotland to get his feelings on, does he have any worries about the other two nations being Northern Ireland and Wales, and how they might have relationships with them following this referendum?
I mean, we obviously want, if there's a nation out there interested in developing with us, we will support it, share our journey to devolution, because that is what we need. We need to share with others how we got to this point. If we don't, they're going to be skeptical, they're going to be nervous. So we're open doors in Boot House to sharing our experience with them and ensure that they have a smooth transition like us, and hopefully get the result that they want as well. Because if we don't have other devolved nation in PB, because clearly it wants to expand, then is there a sticking point there that we only have Scotland? We don't know.
No,
But
indeed.
yes, if we have other devolved nations, we will spread cooperation through central government and through our channels as well.
I actually want to go to the leader of the opposition now for what he feels that the Prime Minister must do now to ensure a good, stable relationship with Scotland, and what also he might say outside 10 Downing Street, which we expect imminently.
Well, personally, I think obviously the first steps is, I think he's doing what is right now, is having obviously talks with the Scottish government, but as well as he's obviously going to have a release statement outside 10 Downing Street, obviously basically talking about obviously what he believes are the next steps, which I hope he obviously does. But honestly, I think the Prime Minister is very, very pleased with these results. I think he'll be given obviously an outcome of what the next steps are with in regards to the Scottish referendum and what it means for the British people, obviously going forward, because like I said, this is a massive change, but also it's not for the bad, but it's for the good. We're going to see a lot more interest, not only within obviously Scotland but in Project Britannia, but we're also going to see a lot more opportunity, and that's something we need in this group. Because if we talk about a couple of months ago, I will honestly say Project Britannia weren't going the right direction, but now we are seeing more members join up, and I believe with this referendum going in favour, I personally believe it's just only going to get better, and I really hope the Scottish government feel the same way.
Well, thank you very much for that. We're still told that results are due to come within the next few moments. The Electoral Commission have officially released the documentation of results, and stating that a total of 799 citizens were given the opportunity to take part in this vote, and that there was 49 official votes from citizens, a general voter turnout of 6.3% was therefore recorded, and there was a final total of 31 votes stating yes, 11 votes stating no, and there is 7 spoilt ballots. So with those results and the fact that we are expecting the PM to walk out of Downing Street within the next 5 minutes or so, I just want to wonder and reflect on what results are there. We can actually see some of the cabinet outside number 11. Like, we believe in that lot. So we can see the Housing and Community Secretary that we spoke to earlier, the Community Secretary, I believe the Acting Foreign Secretary, if I am correct, but you might have to double clarify with me on that. We have another member of the cabinet who I really am sorry, but I don't know who is at the time. I don't have my cabinet list out on me. Oh, the Prime Minister's out. We will now cut straight to him.
Good evening, the British people. It is 11 minutes past 10 on this evening. Frankly, it's a very good time for a result. It's way better than midnight, mid-morning. Now, I am very pleased with the result that we are currently seeing by the Electoral Commission and by various news networks who are broadcasting the result. I am very, very pleased that the British people have agreed that devolution for Black H. Cromwell Scotland is in the best interest of this country. I want to thank everybody who turned out to vote over the past day, whether you voted in favour of or against the devolution of Scotland. However, one thing is clear. The government has a clear responsibility now, and we must deliver on the referendum result to ensure that Black H. Cromwell Scotland is able to become Project Britannia's official devolved Scotland. Tonight, after my statement, I will be inviting the First Minister and Deputy First Minister to Downing Street for an urgent meeting to discuss the future of our two communities. As I said on the Sky News broadcast 10 minutes ago, I want the devolution legislation in Parliament by Thursday evening. We've already discussed with Scottish Government officials what we would like to see, and I'm glad to report that we've come to a very comfortable conclusion together on various aspects that will be involved. We will be moving quickly and we will be moving efficiently to ensure that the Scottish people and the Scottish community can become truly a part of ours. And that together, both communities, Frost's Project Britannia and Black H. Cromwell's Scotland, can work together in deep cooperation, whether it be the emergency services, whether it be the political institutions. We must now work together in the full spirit of cooperation, and I cannot stress enough the necessity for our two communities to now remain together. No matter what political problems may arise in the future between our two communities and between two governments and two parliaments, we must make sure that our communities in the wider picture remain together and remain focused to ensuring that this great whole can be filled by its two parts. I want to thank you all again for turning out to vote this evening, and I really do hope that this referendum result will be acted upon decisively. However, I can confirm that our government will be acting decisively to ensure that our two communities can become great part of a whole as soon as physically possible. Thank you all for coming to Downing Street and listening to me this evening. I wish you a very good evening, and tomorrow Britain shall work together in a new age. Thank you.
So, in the last couple of moments, we heard the Prime Minister there come and make a statement. So, as the statement now concludes, and we see the Cabinet about to head back into Downing Street properly, we can see there a wide range of support. Let's head back to our panel, shall we, of top tier experts and politicians for the last couple of minutes of our broadcast. I want to go firstly to the leader of the opposition for his thoughts of that speech from the Prime Minister, leader of the opposition. Oh, I just realised we had a little incident. We accidentally. Apologies for that. It's definitely getting late into the night. Sorry, repeat what you may have just said.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can. That was my mistake
Yeah,
that
lovely.
time.
No, that's totally fine. As we saw, obviously in recent moments just there, the Prime Minister had a lot of support there from his cabinet ministers. So what obviously what we've just heard from there, and obviously his actions, obviously what's going to happen next in with regards to this Scottish referendum. Obviously, I personally believe, in my point of view, with having all these cabinet ministers there, I believe he's sending a message there. It does actually look like he's obviously he means for what he says. He's not. I have a lot of respect for Doc. Regardless of obviously our political ideologies, but respectively, I do believe with him. I do obviously. This is a big moment in Project Britannia within regards of the Scottish referendum, and I do agree with the Prime Minister. And I don't think you'll ever hear a lot of leaders of oppositions agreeing with the government in a while. But yeah, on this one-off case, I do agree with the government on this one. I personally believe, obviously, this is going to be a big transition, obviously for the group, both groups, in fact. And like I said, and like he said, in regardless of the highs and lows, obviously this is going to end up in good faith for Britain as a whole.
We are going to go now to the Deputy First Minister of Scotland, but I do want to show you scenes outside Downing Street, which at the moment, this is what we can see. We cut back on for a second, but as you may be able to see out there are definitely current protests ongoing for the second event at Downing Street running in 2 days, where it seems like the Metropolitan Police is definitely working to resolve the situation. But while we look at this unfolding, Deputy First Minister of Scotland, should we get your final thoughts for the night on this?
Yeah, definitely. So tonight has been remarkable. It's been remarkable for the Scottish public, Project Britannia public, and as the leader of opposition said, it's been a good night. And I hope that all parties within the Faithful Commons can come together. Even the House of Lords can come together to agree this bill to get it through Parliament so that we can start our formal partnerships. Because I have just received a call that I have been summoned Downing Street after this, so that will be my final input for tonight.
Yes, I believe we can actually see the First Minister of Scotland about to arrive at Downing Street, and I think as we see this, let's get the final thoughts of the Leader of the Opposition for tonight before the end of this referendum night. Your final thoughts of the night briefly, Mr. Leader of the Opposition.
Well, firstly, I must say it's been absolute great night, and obviously thank you for inviting me. It's lovely to sit next to the Deputy First Minister today. Well, obviously he's gone now because obviously he's got busy things to attend to. But it's been great to sit next to him because regardless of, like I said, political ideologies or anything what you support, it's a big moment we can celebrate together, and hopefully it's gonna see great things happen to this group. I keep seeing that because the fact is it's true. We're going to see momentous change. And if this is done under the Doc Henders in the final 2 weeks he has, obviously before an election, or if the new government that takes over, I'm pretty sure that relations will up high with this Scottish relationship, and hopefully there's more to come from just this referendum now. Hopefully we can see proper partnerships coming in the near future.
Well, indeed, and that statement there brings towards a closure of what has been an exciting night. The first referendum night in the history of Project Britannia in a long time. And we sincerely at Sky UK thank you all for your time and taking the time out of your evening to listen to our broadcasts of the results. We do hope to see you again for future broadcasts. We are now going to end the broadcast, but we thank you very much for watching Sky News.